Good evening. Welcome to Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Thank you for joining us here tonight on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. We're going to be talking a little bit today about this recent happenings in the news regarding Mary Trump and the release of this new book, supposedly a tell-all book. The judges ruled for Mary Trump to be free to release this book to the public, and from what I've read already, there's already been 600,000 copies released already. Now, we're going to be coming from two perspectives this evening, as I always do. I try to get both sides of the story, or both sides of what's going on. First of all, we're going to be talking from the liberal perspective. This is a report. I'm going to be reading some excerpts from a report from Matthew Cho. It says here, President Donald Trump's niece is free to release and discuss her damning book of president's family, a New York Supreme Court judge ruled on Monday. Mary Trump is the daughter of the president's deceased older brother, Fred Trump Jr. And his other brother, Robert Trump, sued to block the book's release, and it has been blocked for quite a while. And remember, President Trump has talked before, and even in some of his comments about his brother Fred, and how he had advised him not to drink or not to smoke. So he says he does neither of that now, because his brother advised him. He had a problem, trouble with alcoholism. But in the book titled Too Much, Never Enough, How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man, has already garnered and considered media attention as peephole into the upbringing and intimate life of Donald Trump. Mary Trump is the first member of the president's family to publicly open up about presidents outside of his dealings with the White House. Now, the unconstitutional gag order has finally been lifted, Mr. Cho reports, and we are sure the White House and America are looking forward to finally hearing that Mary has what she has to say. Chris Bastardy, a spokesperson for Mary Trump, had a statement on Monday. I like that name. Anyway, Robert Trump claimed the book was a violation of the family's agreement from 2001 over the will of the family patriarch, Fred Trump Sr. And a New York court barred Mary Trump and her publisher, Simon Schuster, from publicizing the book. But the state courts lifted the ruling on publishing house, allowing it to continue with the book's publication. Still, Mary Trump remained unable to speak about her book, barring her from public publicity appearances. So you can see right here, the state went back to the state court. Governor Cuomo and his guys there in that state, yes, they'll do anything to try to damage our president. Greenwald also publicly clarified that Simon & Schuster would be free to publish the book, denying Robert Trump's claim that the publishing house was an agent for Mary Trump. Such a relationship would have equally silenced the publisher. And this is Josh Gerstein, I think, also, and Daniel Lipton contributed to this report. Greenwald also noted that thousands of copies of the book had already been printed and sent out for delivery. And it says the public, of course, is, and we're going to say which public, the public definitely appears eager to read it. The book is trending #1 in Amazon's bestseller list and has made the list for the past 3 weeks. Mary Trump, a clinical psychologist, says in her book that the president was a product of emotional neglect from an absent mother and a sociopathic father. Boy, you know, she was raised, and she was raised by this father's son, and so she's claiming all these different things. So, you know, I don't know. To me, a lot of it's just foolishness. But of course, the White House has denied the claims in the book as opportunistic fantasy. It's a book of falsehoods, and that it's about that's about it. White House Press Secretary Katie McEnany said last week. It's ridiculous, absurd allegations that has absolutely no bearing in truth. Robert Trump's lawyer, Charles Harder, did not immediately respond to the request for comment. So he hasn't commented as of yet. Now, I have a lot to cover tonight, so I'm going to go right to it. This is a conservative viewpoint, in which I see it, and I want to thank Fox News for uncovering some other information, some stuff that's going to be put out in the book that is pretty much inaccurate. President Trump's niece, Marielle Trump, alleges in her new tell-all book that her uncle paid a friend to take a college admissions test more than 50 years ago so he could gain acceptance into the undergraduate business school at Wharton School of University of Pennsylvania. However, a new video from the wife of the now deceased friend tells a very different story. To hedge his bets, he enlisted Joe Shapiro, a smart kid with a reputation for being a good test taker, to take his SATs from him, Mary Trent wrote in her book. That was much easier to pull on in the days before photo IDs and computerized records. Donald, who never lacked for funds, paid his buddy well. This is what Mary Trump says. But in her video, the message from Pam Schreiber said her late husband met Trump after he was already enrolled at the University of Pennsylvania, where Trump went on to earn a Bachelor's of Science in Economics as an undergraduate. She says in her video, my late husband, Joe Shapiro, passed away 21 years ago. He was a man of great integrity, honesty, and he was a hard worker. The reason why I'm also bringing this up is because when they bring this stuff up, and when she brings this stuff up, you're not only insulting President Trump's character, Miss Trump, but you're also insulting this gentleman's character, saying he would do something illegal or underhanded. So you're hurting him. And this lady, she came out, she had to come out and do a video to rebuke these things that were being accused of by her husband, who was a man of great integrity, honesty, and he was a hard worker. He was literally the smartest person I ever met, Strava began. He went to the University of Pennsylvania, member of the class of 1968. It was while he was at the University of Pennsylvania where he met Donald Trump. They became friends. They loved the sport of golf. They shared the same hometown of New York City. They shared the same campus. They stayed in a little bit of touch through the years. She continued, but obviously Joe's not here to defend himself and say what happened, but I just want to recollect what he told me about where he met Mr. Trump. And I want to thank all of Joe's close friends and his sister Beth for our talks in the past 24 hours about what an upstanding, outstanding man Joe Shapiro was. For its part, the White House said the absurd SAT allegation is completely false and denounced the book as full of falsehoods. And I can agree, because we have a liberal here, Mary Trump, which is also, just like a lot of the other liberals, trying to get some attention to put a few dollars in her pocket. And as far as I can see, she's already earned quite a bit of money through Amazon's publishing of this book, through Simon & Schuster. Mary Trump is the daughter of President Trump's eldest brother, Fred Trump Jr., who suffered from alcoholism and died in 1981 at the age of 42. She has a doctorate in psychology. In the 200-page missive that tells the story of the family dysfunction and the rise of President Trump's power, Mary Trump recalls the stress from her father's death and resentment in the family of how her uncle capitalized on Fred Jr.'s struggles. She revealed alleged conversation in 2015 with her aunt, who retired federal judge Marianne Trump Berry, whom she claims griped about her brother. He's using your father's memory for political purposes, Marianne said, according to the book. And that sin, especially since Freddie should have been the star of the family. Freddie should have been the star. What is that? To me, that's pure foolishness. The man had a drinking problem. He was loved by his brother and the star of the family. How can you attest to what a person should be if they destroyed their lives and died at an early age? You cannot do that anyway. That's foolishness. You know, to even say something like that, and I don't believe that lady actually said it. I believe that Mary is just putting words into her mouth. Okay, she claims that the president's sister doubted his election prospects and called him a clown. Mary Trump says her uncle, whom she calls Donald throughout the book, was forced to become his own cheerleader at a young age because he needed his predominant real estate developer father, Fred Trump, to believe he was a better son than Fred Jr., known as Freddie. As Donald grew up, he was forced to become his own cheerleader. So, you know, I don't know. It seems like to me, if anybody knows about family, we can see right there there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of upset over the fact that her dad did not accomplish the things that he probably could have had he stayed away from the drink and for whatever else he was doing. But on that note, we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back with you in a moment. This is Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network. Welcome back. We're going to move on right now to our next story. This story is in the news right now, and this is about the meeting that took place on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah with Hillary Clinton. Noah asked the former Secretary of State about the potential changing of power at the White House after November's election. The potential changing of power. What did I tell you? They're going to try their best to steal this election, and I guarantee you the Democratic Party is going to try to pull something underhand and illegal. And they can say whatever they want. They've done so many lies and so many different deceptive practices that we cannot put anything past them. The former Democratic presidential nominee appeared virtually for an interview on what Noah has been calling the daily social distancing show amid the coronavirus pandemic. Another one is locked up in her basement. Their friendly interview quickly turned into a topic of voter suppression, with Clinton taking a jab at the Republican leaders, alleging they're trying to stifle votes from people they believe will vote blue in November. Give me a break. Who's going to vote for Sleepy Joe Biden? Give me a break. He doesn't even have a running mate. Nobody wants to run with him. Give me a break, guys. Republican has two prongs to their strategy to try to win. She explained. The first is to try to prevent as many people who they think won't vote for them from voting. And how many of you remember where they had these guards outside the polls when Obama was going for election years ago, trying to block the Republicans from coming into the place? And, you know, we don't want to go into that. And so to make the lines really long, he's trying to prohibit mail-in votes. Yeah, trying to prohibit you from the opportunity to perpetrate a scam on the public. She says he claims it's fraudulent, indeed, and it's not, she says. This is Hillary Clinton. In fact, that's how Donald Trump votes, and everybody who knows about vote by mail understands that. Yeah, okay, whatever. Okay. With that, Noah asked her if she believes President Trump, who has repeatedly said in the past that the voter fraud is an issue with voting by mail, will attempt to use the vast number of Americans like to vote by mail in November due to the COVID-19 pandemic as an excuse for delegitimizing the election and refuse to yield power in the event of he loses. He's not going to lose anywhere. Forget it, guys. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you the truth, Miss Clinton. If you're listening to me right now, if he approved the vote by mail, I can almost guarantee you, unless your party, the Democratic Party, does something underhanded, he will get voted in by a larger majority than it would if the people actually went to the polls. If there's no Democratic voter tampering. Then she goes on to say, I think it's a fair point to raise to whether or not if he loses, he's going to quietly or go or not. He's not going to lose, and he's not quietly going anywhere because there's no need for him to quietly go. Who wants sleepy Joe Biden as a president? The man can't even hold himself together to hold one general conversation when he comes out into the public. Who wants him as our president? I don't. I don't know about you. If you don't, please put it in the notes. And then she goes and says, I'm gonna cut through this because I don't feel like reading all this garbage. She concluded, and this is how she concluded. So you got to begin and end with his total lack of leadership. Give me a break. His indifference toward what this virus has cost us, not only in our lives, but in jobs and livelihoods. And who in the heck is holding this crap up? The Democratic Party keeps coming up with all this garbage they got. When they come with a stimulus package, they put all kinds of mess on top of it that has nothing to do with helping the American people and their issues with livelihood. You know, I know only too well. They're the ones that are holding up the stimulus package that are trying to go out to the American public now. They pass something, then they put a bunch of things. Back in the old days, when the younger days, when I was younger, they used to call it piggyback. They used to piggyback a bunch of garbage on, especially taxes. If anybody out there wants to keep your taxes down, keep the Democratic Party out of ruling in the House and the Senate, and your taxes will stay down. Because all they're going to do is give your money to that illegal organization. They'll probably sneak in. Do you realize, and a lot of us don't know this historically, the IRS was only put up for a short period of time. It was not supposed to last as long as it has. It's supposed to have been done away with a long time ago. It was only supposed to have been for a short period of time that we even had the Internal Revenue Service. But now it's become a part of our government now. And it's a very cruel part of our government. I really am really unhappy with them because they got ways of doing deception as well. You know, hopefully they don't try to attack me. They're criminals to me too. That's what I see. That's why the Lord and His Word connect them with sinners, tax collectors and sinners. Now, of course, He doesn't want to hear from our leading infectious disease experts like Dr. Fauci. He's like Dr. Fauci, who gave $3.7 million to Wuhan to develop a synthetic virus from bats. He did that. He brought this. He helped China to bring this garbage on our country. And this is a fact. If you don't believe me, check the record. You'll find out that he put $3.7 million from that organization, the NH, whatever, I forgot what it is, that organization that he's involved in, the National Health Organization, to have research for this synthetic virus. Why are we looking at synthetic viruses? Why are we trying to create viruses to test on people to see if they'll go through right? And all this garbage about this virus upgrades and stuff like that, that's another ploy. If you don't believe me, it's the truth. It's another ploy by the Democratic Party to hurt this country and to end this country through their socialistic and Marxism that they have displayed through their group, Black Lives Matter, which is supported by Act Blue, which is a Democratic fundraiser organization. Don't believe me? Go to the website, check it out. They might have eliminated the link by now, I don't know, because they know people found out. She says also about this Dr. Fauci. He doesn't want to hold even a sham of meetings he used to hold, try to talk about it. Why does he need to hold any more meetings? It's already been brought under control. Of course, your Democratic Party wants to say it hasn't been brought under control, but it has been brought under control. Anyway, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back at you in a moment. This is Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Be back at you in a moment. Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert on the CTM News Network. I want to tell you also, if you want to support this program, if you believe in what's being reported here, please, there's a website in the bottom of the screen. Our rates are very low. If you are trying to get advertising for your business or for your campaign is very low. We don't care if you're Democrat or whether you're Republican. If you wanna advertise on our station, you're open to do so. Matter of fact, I'm here. If you want to come here and we'll talk about these issues, I'll welcome you here too as well. But we have very low rates, extremely low rates. And we are right now, even though this show is just beginning, we're still reaching an audience somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 7,000 people. So that could be a lot that could bring business into your, what's the name? And I also post my ads on Facebook, so and different other social media sites. So you can go there and see it, and at that time you will get advertisement also as well. Let's move on to our next story. Tucker Carlson responded to Representative AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democrat from New York, during his opening monologue on Monday after she told viewers during a recent virtual town hall that a community without police would look like a suburb, reaffirming her support of the defund the police movement. Here's something you probably didn't know, Carlson said. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the voice of the street, actually grew up in an idyllic town 45 miles north of New York City. It is called the town of Yorktown Heights. You never know it from listening to her recent race baiting, but the population of AOC's hometown is over 90% white. Nothing against white people, but I'm just saying, she's touting all this stuff, but she's placed herself in a location way away from the communities where African Americans are. AOC suggested NYC crime surge caused by residents who need to shoplift some bread. She said they need to steal bread. Yeah, I don't think we see people coming out the store with TV and stuff like that they're going in for bread. And then he goes on to say, it's not Queens, Carlson went on. It's a nice place. Yorktown Heights is so affluent and so peaceful. In fact, it doesn't need its own police department. Instead, it relies on the 59-man force that protects the larger town, Yorktown, around it. This is the hood that spawned Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the country's most privileged revolutionaries. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close with this little thing here about our New York governor, Andrew Cuomo. He is facing backlash from the scientific community and others for using a state report that backed up his theory that nursing home coronavirus deaths were not caused by his policies, even though the report may not have thoroughly explored the issue. And you're watching Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Cuomo has been insisting that thousands of nursing home deaths had nothing to do with his March 25th order that required nursing homes to accept coronavirus patients who were medically stable without testing them, claiming that the deaths were caused by infected staff members who spread the virus. The new report backs this up, but experts have questioned the report's methods. Governor Cuomo pummeled online for selling poster touting New York's COVID response. Denise Nash, an epidemiologist at the City University of New York School of Public Health, told the Associated Press that the number of nursing home deaths reported by the state does not include residents who died at the hospital, Nash said. This is a potentially huge problem that undercounts the virus toll and could introduce bias in the analysis. Rupak Shiva-Koti, I can't pronounce his name, epidemiologist of Columbia University and Mailman School of Public Health, noted that even if the report is accurate in stating that the affected staff were greatest factor in contributing to the resident's death, they still could play a role. Cuomo says schools in New York can open again once region is in phase 4. Now, I'm going to move on in the interest of time. It seems like the Department of Health is trying to justify what was untenable policy, Harrington said. Cuomo, who early on received adulation for his leadership during the pandemic, was also recently blasted for selling a poster touting New York's response to coronavirus outbreak. On Monday, Cuomo debuted the poster he designed called New York Tough. That is, he suggested, captures the journey his state went through while addressing the pandemic. Once again, the Democratic Party, this publicity, they blame Trump for this, but they're always the one that's trying to get, look at me. According to the pre-ordered page, the poster costs $14.50 plus shipping and handling, and New York State does not profit from the sale of this poster. So what does that tell you? Another underhanded practice. Cuomo also recently told 1010 Wins Radio that he is writing a book about his experience handling the pandemic. He ain't handled nothing. President Trump handled that pandemic. He allowed you to be involved. He could have made the statements that he made. He could have made the states obey whatever orders he set forth. But he didn't do that. He allowed the governors, and even in some cases, so the mayors. And so we still have these Democratic governors, these Democratic mayors that are still locking down our cities. And this Democratic Marxist group, Black Lives Matter, that's going around destroying public property, terrorizing our communities. They're saying Black Lives Matter, but if you look at the videos and look at the people, the majority of the people are a bunch of different races other than black. Well, anyway, that's about it for me here at Black Conservative Voice, here on CTM News Network, the voice of truth. I want to thank you for joining me here this evening, here on CTM News, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we have our program. We'll be talking a little bit about the recent press conference held at the White House by President Trump in the Rose Garden. So anyway, thank you for joining me. And once again, as I always say, God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world.